Hi, my name is Jeff, and today I'm going to present the 80-20 principle, which is now well known in management thanks to Richard Koch's bestseller published in 1998. Let me start with a little story. A German general used to say that there were 4 types of officers in his army. First, there are the lazy, stupid ones. Should we fire them according to the general? Not at all. His advice is to leave them alone. They do no harm. Second, there are the hardworking, intelligent ones. Obviously, they're great and you must keep them. Third, you have those that are stupid and hardworking. The general says these people are a threat and must be fired right away because they create irrelevant work for everyone. Finally, you have those that are intelligent and lazy. These people are your stars and they're suited for the highest office. What's the moral of the story? We work too much and we don't spend enough time thinking. In other words, the worker that is intelligent and lazy will find strategies to become more efficient and work less. And this, my friends, is the essence of Richard Koch's message in his book. First, I will briefly talk about the origin of this law. Then, I will explain what this principle is all about. And finally, I'll give you examples on how you can apply this principle in your daily life. The 80-20 principle was first discovered by an Italian economist in the 19th century named Pareto. Basically, he discovered that in many fields, a minority of causes, inputs, or effort usually lead to a majority of results, outputs, or rewards. After him, other scientists did research and showed this law applies everywhere. For example, about 80% of crimes are committed by 20% of criminals. 80% of your sales come from 20% of your products. 80% of your complaints, or 80% of complaints, come from 20% of your customers. 80% of software use is done on 20% of its applications. At home, 80% of the wear is done on 20% of your floor. And tell me if this one is true. 80% of the time, you wear 20% of your clothes. One more. 80% of the pleasure you get from your relationships comes from only 20% of your friends. Obviously, when we say 80-20, it's an approximation. It can be 80-10 or 65-20. It doesn't have to add up to 100 either. What's important here is to realize that there is an imbalance between causes and effects, or between effort and results. All this is great, but how does it help me? Well, the reason why this 80-20 principle is so valuable is that it is counterintuitive. Indeed, most people think that their rewards are proportional to their effort. Well, Richard Koch says we are wrong. 80% of the value we produce comes from 20% of our effort. So, for all practical purposes, 80% of our effort is largely irrelevant. The key is not effort or hard work, but finding the right thing to achieve. What is crucial here is to find your 20% and focus on it. In other words, instead of running in all directions and getting caught up in the thick of thin things, like Covey says, you should stop and do some quiet thinking. You've got to be selective too. Koch says it's better to be excellent in a few domains than good in many. For example, as a student, I've got to be strategic. Instead of reading the whole textbook, I will identify the most important sections and study them thoroughly. It's the same thing in everyday life. After some introspection, I can testify that some insight and decisions in my life cost me almost nothing and paid off big time. In conclusion, I can say that this law, discovered more than 100 years ago by Pareto, has the power to improve your life and enterprise. Koch tells us that we can multiply our effectiveness by finding and focusing on our productive and creative 20%. So, the moral of the story is that we can work less, achieve more, and be happier. All we have to do is stop and think creatively and strategically. Thank you for watching this video, and see you soon.